Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Anarata Bashalieva, along with co-host Dr. Victor Fett, Dr. Katerina Shrey, and our program producer, Professor Larry Shure. We host a weekly discussion panel on Russia's war on Ukraine with guests from Ukraine, military experts, medical personnel, academics, artists, literary figures, and relief workers. Our panel is recorded and circulated nationally and internationally. We appreciate your comments and feedback. Special thanks to Marshall University Libraries and MUIT for making this weekly event possible. If you are joining us live on Teams, please feel free to use the chat to post any question for our guest. A quick greetings to our viewers in Ukraine from Dr. Katerina Shrey.
Ми з глибокою повагою вітаємо наших слухачів в Україні. Сьогодні наші серця з Харковом. Наші дорогі брати і сестри в Харкові знову переживають немислиме. Рано вранці російські дрони атакували житлові райони Харкова і його передмість, поранивши мирних жителів, зокрема дітей, і спричинивши пожежі в будинках та спорудах. Знайте, що для нас це не просто заголовки новин. Ми тримаємо вас у своїх серцях і молитвах та приєднаємося до тисяч інших, щоб зробити все можливе для допомоги Україні. Дякую вам за вашу участь в нашій тижневій програмі.
Thank you, Katerina. Today's guest will be introduced by Dr. Victor Fett.
Thank you, Nara, and welcome everyone to our 173rd week of Ukraine Weekly podcast at Marshall University, West Virginia. I am glad and honored to welcome back our former contributor, Dr. Olga Shpak from Kharkiv, Ukraine, a former marine biologist becoming volunteer in the first days of the war. We had her on this program in August 2022, almost 3 years ago, and we are very, very grateful that Olga found time to talk to us on this Friday night from northeastern Ukraine, from the war-torn Kharkiv. Please, Olga, microphone is yours.
Hello, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I would like to say that I very much appreciate that you keep your podcast and keep informing the public about what's going on in Ukraine. And I believe that the archive of your work in the future will be important for informing people how it was and how people took the situation here and what actions were taken. Thank you very, very much. Yes, indeed. I participated in this podcast on August 26 in 2022, when I thought that by then I was very much tired, and my last slide was titled "Tired but Committed." And 3 years after, I'm still here, still in Kharkiv. I mean, still tired, still committed, but a lot of things have changed, and I have to say that I've become more professional as a volunteer, and I will talk about it later. And most important, I joined in that August, in August 22. I joined a small American NGO at that point initiative, Assist Ukraine, and I've been with Assist Ukraine ever since, and we grew together and we help each other. Very, very few people participating, but for this tiny stuff, I think we've been doing a lot. And I'm here in Kharkiv representing Assist Ukraine. I'm Assist Ukraine Director Ukraine. Basically, I'm the only one here in Ukraine. We have several people who are associated with us, and I can call them members of Assist Ukraine, like Sasha Gula in Vinnytsia, who does huge amount of work supplying tactical medicine to our defenders. And another person, Katerina Prishepa, who moves between Poland and Ukraine, also delivering aid that comes to Warsaw, and then also writing about the situation in Ukraine because she's a journalist. So Assist Ukraine was a big step for me because it structured my my work a lot, and we've developed a large network of donors and volunteers, people with whom we work and with whom we try to collect donations and write about what's going on in Ukraine. And our major users and our end users, the end users of our aid, are Ukrainian defenders, because the motto of Assist Ukraine is saving lives. And we understand it in a broad way. So it's not only that we support the defenders with the tactical medicine, but we understand that in the war zone, saving life could be anything, and equipment, clothes, different devices like generators, power stations, even some devices like reconnaissance drones could be life-saving. And when tactical medicine saves the life of the wounded, we also try to help the soldiers to have equipment so that they don't get wounded, like anti-drone devices, like anti-drone warfare, for example. We also provide transport cars. We provide cars for conducting combat tasks. We provide cars for medical evacuations, which is extremely important. So we do huge amount of things, and I think I will not talk about it here, because on Facebook and on our website we have the link to the report I presented for what we've done in 2024 last year. And I believe also on YouTube channel we have one of the recordings for my session with the same report, but as video session. So for those who would be interested to see what Assist Ukraine does and the scope of what we do, please check out our website or Facebook page. And again, coming back to my last slide about being tired but committed. So what means commitment to a project with no definite end date? This is what we have. It's diving deeper and deeper with the amount of everything. It's continuously growing amount of work, because it's networking. So the amount of military units or individual soldiers we are helping is constantly growing. With the time and publicity, we also have more money, which means we are lucky to have more money than when we started with, but it means more effort. We have to provide more aid, and we provide not few types of aid, but basically anything that the soldiers would immediately need, because our second motto is provide aid like meet urgent needs, because there are a lot of foundations still in Ukraine, I'm happy to say that are ready to help the defenders, but small foundations suffer with the funds, so they cannot provide expensive items, and large foundations which have enough funds, they're very much caught in bureaucratic process, and they process the requests for months. So if someone needs a generator to run it on the position because the previous one got burned, blasted a day ago, they need it now to charge their radio stations, to charge their tablets with maps, and with the situation on the front line. They need it right now, and we are the ones who try to keep small, so that this bureaucratic machine of a big NGO would not affect the speed that we provide the aid. We have more volunteer contacts those are NGOs, different NGOs, both in the United States, in Europe, private volunteers and donors. And that is also work. You have to be in touch. You have to keep people informed about how the things are going, to keep them feel involved and be involved, to continue our work. It's also, this commitment led to learning multitasking and asking for help, which I didn't know how to do. I hated to do in my previous life. But also it's learning to be open for requests for help, which could be absolutely different. I'm not talking about soldiers now. I'm talking about, again, other volunteers, foundations, because it's a huge amount of knowledge and we need advice from each other. So we communicate and provide different kind of aid and advice, and with logistics and information and maybe something else, sharing aid maybe sometimes. So this is the amount of things, the pile of different things of work is only growing. So this commitment, I would say, costs more and more, whatever it is, health, energy, time, everything. But we have what we have. And I'm glad that I have possibility, I have funds, I have the network of people to be able to help and do what we do, and keep myself as busy as basically I can physically. So yeah, that was a complete change of the lifestyle. When I talked in August, I was still, by that time, I already understood it was a marathon. But of course, in August 2022, I didn't think it was such a long marathon. And for a certain amount of time, I thought that what I was doing was a terrible downshifting for me. So I had this internal conflict that, like, can't I do something more useful? Because like anyone can drive or load or unload those generators, and maybe there are people more capable than I am of carrying like 25 kilos of generators, power stations, or whatever things I carry every day. And like when I was in science, it's not even the lifestyle, but the way of thinking. There are a lot of academics here. I'm talking to people from the university, so everyone understands that being in science means deep concentration on one task, or at least few tasks, for a long period of time. And here with volunteering, it completely reversed, because it's tons of different tasks every day. Immediate actions are required. There are unexpected, unpredictable requests, because I have my phone disconnected now. I had to switch my phone off, because I can get phone calls any time of the day, anytime, with absolutely any request. And also it's a lot of learning. So I changed my mind, and I haven't been taking the work I do is downshifting for a long time by now. It's also tons of paperwork, I have to say. This damn corruption, this damn fight with corruption in Ukraine covers us with paperwork, and I have no choice. I have to do it if I don't want my volunteer bank account be blocked. I need to keep all paperwork as it has to be, in order to present it immediately and be cleared if the bank or any inspection service has questions to me. So it's a mix of doing really physically dirty work in the warehouse or driving to the front line, and also tons of hours spent with my computer, typing different receipts, acts, what is called acts of acceptance, submitting declarations for customs, reporting aid to customs, and doing all this stuff, which is extremely boring. And it's difficult to concentrate on that, but it's absolutely needed. With military units, that I'm helping with. And with Assist Ukraine, I'm the major Sasha that I mentioned, Sasha, the girl in Vinnytsia who does tactical medicine, who I mentioned before. She is in touch directly with the combat medics, but she's concentrated on one topic, assisting with supplying tactical medicine. And me, it's like doing everything, whatever guys you ask. So with military units, I'm fulfilling, I would say, standard regular requests of the things that are needed like regularly or always. It's like those generators and power banks and power stations and radios and some, for example, anti-drone covers, anti-drone warfare, cars, things like this. But I also have to learn technology. So again, it's not a downshifting because I'm learning like crazy. I have to learn, I have to keep pace with developments in this war, both like our developments and developments by Russians, by the way, to assess the needs, the requests of the soldiers, to kind of validate the request and understand assess the urgency of this request and correct them if needed, because sometimes they don't really understand what model of what they need, because everything changes so quickly that sometimes the soldiers that just don't keep pace. So I have to know to effectively spend the funds we have. I have to know the basics of everything I'm providing, and and it's a lot to learn. I would say like those knowledge, this knowledge will be useless and when the war is over. But so far, I believe it helps me to manage the funds effectively and also help soldiers to take the right decisions and have the items that they really need. So this is what we do. And also there are very untypical tasks which probably people who are not volunteers wouldn't think about. So volunteers are basically create horizontal links between different military units, because we know so many soldiers, we know so many military units whom we help, that we know that what like who does what, who may have what, who may have some know-hows. And thus, in addition to supplying aid, we become like phone Wikipedia or messenger or whatever social network for the soldiers, because it's quite often when they call me and ask for something, do you know if someone has tried that device, or do you know if someone may have a spare anything? And this is what I'm doing. So I just, like, I have to know who does what again of the units I help, so that I can connect them and so that they can help each other. And because they respect me, they take my request to help someone else seriously, and usually it works out, because otherwise different soldiers, if they don't know each other, it's probably they would just ignore such a request. And sometimes it's about sharing military equipment, like, do you know if someone has, like, again, that military equipment, and then we do this. So we procure different things. This is not part of Assist Ukraine work. This is part of what I do personally. But again, I work as Assist Ukraine director here, but there is a lot of things which, of course, I have to do as Olga Shpak and without being attached to any organization. And Kharkiv helps a lot to do what I do, because I have to say that in a different environment, psychologically, it would be very, very difficult to keep doing what I'm doing, because here I'm surrounded. I mean, Kharkiv is a near frontline city, so of course we have, like, it's militarized. So of course we have a lot of soldiers, we have a lot of military cars, but also people who stayed in Kharkiv, they are oriented to help. It's a very acute feeling of the close front line. It's a very definite feeling of being close to the front line because part of the Kharkiv Oblast region is occupied, and Kharkiv Oblast is actually the front line. So people are way more aware here than people in further areas to the west, where they don't feel the war that much. And I would have to say that Kharkiv has become very Ukrainian now, because Kharkiv has always before the large-scale invasion started, had always been treated as a Russian-speaking city, and this Ukrainian spirit and culture was debated amongst Kharkivians. But now Kharkiv is very, very Ukrainian, and no one would doubt. And Kharkiv people would, like, I believe, cut the throat if if someone said that they're not Ukrainians. And it's important to say that we are angry, but not desperate, which is very, very, very important, and it keeps the city alive. So again, what helps is that I can work and work and work, but at the same time, I see normal life around me. And if I forgot to eat in the morning and it's like 4 p.m. and I suddenly feel terribly, terribly hungry, there is always a place where I can get coffee or I can get food. There are cafeterias, there are shops are open. So this atmosphere of normal life, it helps, just makes life more convenient, right? Because if it were difficult to find food here, that would be more difficult for me to dedicate as much time as I do to doing what I'm doing. But also in Kharkiv, what we do in additional to helping military units, it's always, again, because of these networks of volunteers and everyone helping everyone. It's also doing some things with children, and I'm a co-founder of a charity in Kharkiv, of a Ukrainian foundation, Fort Goodwill, which works with children. I do almost nothing, I have to say, but my co-founder, she's responsible for everything, and sometimes she asks me to help or check something. And also trying to help from time to time the animals, again, because the situation with animals is very, very, very difficult, because the animals from the so-called gray zones, from the empty villages, they're being brought to Kharkiv, because Kharkiv is the closest city with some places to hold the cats and dogs. And I have to say, I think it's important to say that the soldiers help a lot too. And it's not only evacuating animals from those areas, but they, when the front line came closer to Kharkiv again, unfortunately, a lot of military units were moved closer to Kharkiv as well. And they're located very close to the city. So they receive food for themselves, but when they're close to the city, they often prefer just to run to the store and buy like better quality, or maybe like pre-cooked food, and whatever, like buy what they want, not what they were given by the state. So sometimes when they know that I'm going to visit one of the animal centers, they would just pack me with the food which they don't need, and that helps too. And again, it's about networking. It's a whirlpool of different people and organizations, like all rotating in this one whirlpool. And also hospitals, and same with the hospitals, with civilian hospitals and with the hospitals where the soldiers are, and a lot of hospitals in Kharkiv, they're mixed. Part of the patients are civilians, and part of the patients are the soldiers, and sometimes they need some kind of help. And it's a terrible mix of doing everything every day, and this is my lifestyle. And just like in the end, I would like to say that what keeps me, like sometimes I think like what keeps me, I try to answer this question, what keeps me going, because it's quite crazy. And a part of my dog, like exactly a year ago, exactly today is our mutual life birthday. I got a dog, and it helps me tremendously, and his name Lucky, and Lucky has become a therapy dog for a lot of soldiers, and to the degree that like one reconnaissance unit, they knew that today was our birthday, so they brought a present for him, and he's happily sleeping on his present, which is his new bed. But a part of Lucky, what keeps me going, it's seeing these guys every day, like seeing and hearing from the soldiers every day. And I know how exhausted they are, and I know how morally, not only physically but morally, they're exhausted. And if they do it, I think that I'm no choice. I have to do what I do and help them as well. And it's important that I want my home. Again, living in Kharkiv, not in Lviv, I have this problem. I'm not sure about tomorrow, and I want my home to remain my home. And the front line is quite close, and I don't know what will happen tomorrow. And if I decide to leave my home, I want it to be like my free decision, and not me being pushed from my home because of war, or because of occupation of Kharkiv, or because a rocket hit this building. I still, with my future and with 20 plus years living in Russia, I have to say that I still have some feeling of guilt. I can't define it very much, like exactly for what, like because for not returning to Ukraine earlier, maybe, but sometimes you can't define these feelings. They just sit in you. You try to get rid of them, but they kind of like cling to you. But I also wanted to be strong. I always wanted to be good, and I always wanted to be the one who completes the project. So if I said that I'm committed and I will be helping until the war is over, I left no choice for myself. So like no matter how I feel, I have to do it. And then responsibility again. I explain how the amount of work that we do has grown, and it's my responsibility not to drop it, because to drop such a network of donors, of volunteers, NGOs, different kinds of contacts for whatever you can only imagine, would be felt as a loss to our defenders. Because, for example, again, it's without mentioning any work that we do here in Kharkiv, which doesn't involve the funds provided by Assist Ukraine, but even that, I have it in my report. In 2024, before, Assist Ukraine procured aid for $1 million. And I think that for the organization, which consists of several people, it's a lot. And and then living in Kharkiv again, just like I didn't want to talk about Trump, but it just for the last 5 months, like we've heard about 24 hours, about 2 weeks, about 100 days that the war would be over. That it's just like every time I hear about another 2 weeks given by Trump to Putin, I just think, yeah, 2 weeks for you is nothing, but for me tomorrow may not come. And this is that is difficult. Like for me, like my big problem is that I cannot stop looking at the news. I sometimes I prohibit myself do it, and that helps. But it's we are all news dependent, and that hits us. And we live in a completely different time scale, right? Again, so 2 weeks for us could be forever. So it's all days are the same. They're unpredictable and busy, but they're pretty much the same. And and we just learned to take it, to be fatalists, I would say. And when it was about 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, when Kharkiv was under one of the largest, maybe the largest Shahid drone attack at night, since 3:30 to 5 a.m. or something. And I had a friend staying over in my flat. And we ended up sitting on the floor because the Shahids were flying right above the building, and the anti-aerial groups, they were shooting at them. So it's always dangerous to be next to the windows. So we have this rule of 2 walls, which you probably already heard from Ukrainians. So we were sitting in our pajamas on the floor, and then we decided that we were hungry, and we ended up like that night under all those blasts and noises. We ended up having a floor pajama party with the ice cream. I had a lot of ice cream, and we ended up sitting, me, my friend, and Lucky, each having a bowl of ice cream in front of himself, and feeling quite happy, to be honest. So this is how we take our life. And of course, after those 2 hours of sleep, after the drone attack, there was another day with the same things. And I have to say that I think that I've gotten used to be tired and stressed and busy, and I just don't pay attention to that. I only think how much time it will take to me to get back to my normal mode when the war is over. And for me, it's important to think about it, because sometimes I think that I changed completely, and I'm one of the millions of crazy Ukrainians which live today and don't plan future, and don't have future. So hopefully I'll manage. But until then, we will do what we do. And I think that's what I have to say. And if you have questions, I would be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you from all of us. Thank you, Olga. What do I have to say? I open microphones, please. Anyone, your comments, questions. We have about 20 minutes. If Olga stays with us, we understand it is late evening in Kharkiv. Please.
Olga?
Yes, Dr. Deutsch.
Yes. When situations like this arise and money comes into a country, there's always opportunity for corruption. There's certainly going to be charges of corruption, but it seems as though you are making every effort possible to prove that your operations are free of corruption. Who is organizing the effort to make sure that corruption is kept to a minimum? How is that done? Who is in charge of that? Is it a government operation? Is it some kind of another operation? Um, how it's reassuring actually to know that there are efforts being made so that you can show to the world, yes, you're giving us money, but we are using it in an appropriate manner. Can you talk a little bit about how who heads that up?
Mm-hmm. So I may miss something because I don't know the like all the levels and all the structures that do it, because there are different levels, and of course I believe that the offices, services that check the military units or check state officials, those are different levels, and I don't know much about that. What happens to NGOs, that charities that provide humanitarian aid or buy humanitarian aid in Ukraine if we get money as funds, as monetary funds to Ukraine? So this is for the aid that comes crosses the border. For example, like if you purchase something in Europe or it comes from the United States, when it cross, or when we buy cars in Europe, used cars, when they cross the border, and this is something what I do with Ukrainian foundation, because you have to be registered in Ukraine to be able to receive humanitarian aid, which comes through the border. So we are registered, and we have to declare in advance, we have to declare that this and that comes to our foundation, and we as a charity foundation are ready to accept it. So basically we create a declaration, and then the drive, like whoever crosses the border with this aid, whether it's an item like this or it's a truck, they submit this declaration at customs, which is being stamped, and it clearly says it's humanitarian aid, it's not for sale, etc., etc. So they go through custom procedures, and then within 90 days, we as a foundation, we have to report to the customs about distribution of this humanitarian aid. And if the distribution went to the military unit as a unit, we need to have what is called act of acceptance, basically the proof of receipt of the humanitarian aid, signed by the commander of the brigade with the stamp and everything. If the aid goes to individual soldiers, and according to the law, current Ukrainian law on humanitarian aid, which was updated during the war, it's allowed. Then we have all information needed from that soldier, including his passport number and tax service number and military document number and everything. And it's also stamped. And we have to submit all this. So it's a huge amount of paperwork. So then I have to submit all the, and again, to fill out all electronic forms and scan all paperwork and submit it to the customs. Then, for example, in 2022, this system didn't exist. And a lot of cars were brought to Ukraine by relatives, friends, whoever, for the soldiers. And for example, now a lot of them have problems because from time to time, but quite regularly, at customs, they check if this car went to the military unit which it was meant to. But at that point, people who were bringing cars, they didn't understand that they had to take all those papers and signed acts. So these people who are the drivers, they didn't have it, and now these people are accused in corruption and basically stealing cars, and they crazily look for the soldiers whom they gave those cars in 2022. Those soldiers may not be alive, the cars are likely not to exist anymore, and it's a nightmare. But anyway, so this is about the aid that crosses the border. When we receive the funds and buy something here in Ukraine, like Assist Ukraine is not registered in Ukraine. It's a US organization. So part of the funds go to our NGO, and we buy certain things or pay for certain things as NGO, and NGOs are under different control. But part of money comes directly to my volunteer card, from which I can buy immediately. And that is checked and supervised by the bank. So when I opened an account, I submitted a form for our, it's like IRS, to our tax service. The tax service gave me notification that yes, we are aware that this bank account is your volunteer account, and they submitted it to the bank. And now financial control of the bank oversees it. They don't, I have to say, they don't bother me quite often, but they checked a couple of times, and this is what they do. They want to get proof of delivery, or they block the account, and then they will send information to the people in what we call in the uniform, and then they will have to deal and prove not guilty to more serious services. So it's quite a lot of, so I put in Excel file, I scan every single receipt, whether it's for like equivalent of $1 or $2,000, but I have to scan it because they fade out. Like I can't, like regular receipts, you can't be able to read it. So it's a huge amount. So I scan all acts of acceptance, all receipts, and I take all photographs. So I need also, this is Ukrainian thing, but also we need to have a photograph of like actual delivery. It's not like legally required, but it's considered to be a good, like, you know, another proof. So you have document that you bought it, you have a document that the soldier received it, and you have a photograph of a soldier receiving this, holding this item in his hands. So that takes, okay, that takes huge amount of my time, huge.
Well, I'm impressed by the effort that has gone into making sure the corruption is kept to a minimum. Thank you.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Unfortunately, like the state officials, like again, but every country has certain amount of corruption, and like I will not provide examples because I have good examples for what is going on your side now. but it's very difficult for the soldiers, and it's very difficult for the volunteers, because they literally, because of this news, when the articles about corruption were published in European and US media, and I bet that part of them were kind of Russian driven, like part of informational war. They, like, Ukraine started to shake that we have to fight it, we have to fight it, we have to prove. And above already existing bureaucracy, they built up several layers more, and it's very difficult, but we have no choice.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate that question so much from Dean Deutsch, because that is something we do hear about, and your detailed explanation is going to be of great service to us. We will refer people to this. When people challenge us about how the materials are being used, this episode is going to provide that answer. Thank you for doing that hard work, and thank you for being you clearly are an excellent professor, and for explaining that process so well. So I'm very grateful to Dean Deutsch for asking that question. It's not one I would have thought to ask, but that's incredibly valuable. And we will make sure this information is widely disseminated. I have like just two comments, really not a question. When the idea of the world famous marine biologist, Dr. Olga Shpak, doing the dirty work of loading trucks, doing the paperwork of accountancy, dealing with customs, and then driving to the front it is a huge, I cannot imagine the change in your life. And I'm so grateful for the grace with which you describe like what you currently do, and how you shared that story with us. You're learning technology to keep up with the pace of developments, like the fact, like you've already distinguished yourself, made a mark on the world as a scientist, and this is a whole other area. And it's incredibly humbling and a beautiful reminder that Russia is not just fighting our Ukrainian army; they're fighting Ukraine. They're fighting everybody. You were the country. Yeah, no, beautiful. That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And hard. I wanted to tell you, my second thing is I wanted to tell you something. When you appeared on our program in August of 2022, you shared a lot of great stuff. And one of the things you said was something like, I think your mother wanted you to become a doctor, but you didn't like people, you liked animals, something like that, right? That you never, and you said something like you thought you could never love people, and you wanted to work with animals, but that through this process, this has changed. And now you love people. And I just want to tell you that so many people who've watched that particular your appearance on that program, that's the line. Everybody points to that line. Everybody like who I've seen that is very touched by that. So I just want to tell you that. I just want to tell you that resonates.
1 second.
Sure. Is this lucky?
I love people, but you know what? Without this one, I would probably not make it till today.
Oh, gosh. Oh.
This is like, it's not my words. Like I've had at least 10 people telling me, you've got the best dog ever. Like you deserved it, but this is the best dog ever.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, people are people, but this is what keeps me alive. This 11 kilograms.
11 kilograms of love. That's
11
wonderful.
kilograms of, I call him 11 kilograms of tranquilizers.
Yeah.
Talking about something from another life, I cannot not to ask this question. I just read in the news that whales they discovered or knew. I wonder if you know this or saw this, that whales, I don't know which species, blow bubbles toward humans or ships in order to engage into whatever communication. I never heard about this.
For communication,
Well,
in order
communication
to engage
or play or some kind of interaction.
Well, I would have to read the article to understand what is there, but definitely beluga whales in the ocean parks and dolphin areas, they do make bubbles, and apparently they do it also to attract attention, because sometimes they come to the glass wall to do it, not just swimming in the pool, but several species of whales they make bubbles, and some of them they make bubbles for very clear different reasons, for encircling prey, for example. So yes, I would be interested to read this article. I don't let myself, Victor, I don't let myself do it. You know, honestly. Yes. If I start doing this, it's like there were two calls from my past. My colleagues, they still remember about me, and they still, so just recently I was included as a co-author in 2 papers, and I felt very thankful and privileged that people still, that they still remember me, that they still use my material, they still wait for my comment to prepare the manuscript. But at the same time, it's so painful. Like for me, it's physically difficult to just drop everything and concentrate on reading a 20-page manuscript or 30-page manuscript. It's almost impossible. I found myself incapable, and that's why I said that I wonder how long it will take to me to get back to normal life. But then with the second paper, I didn't even have to do anything, and I felt bad because it was only like me who provided the samples, maybe just commenting on like certain just ecological aspects of where those were taken, but for me, it was so touching, but also painful to to hear from the colleagues when I wrote that I'm thankful that they included me. And then several people wrote me how they think of me every day and how they hope that I would come back. And it almost like makes me cry. It's so difficult now. So it's like psychologically, it's easier to cut off this part of life now and do what I do, because the strings are still, I just realized that the strings are still there, and when they're pulled, I'm easily pulled. So.
I'm just asking because I know many active researchers in all fields of biology in Ukraine who have had all kinds of issues with, of course, colleagues, and we understand this. We just want you on this side to understand that we can appreciate, understand, remember, and hope together with you. And this is just remarkable what you are doing. Please, any more comments or questions? We are nearing the end of this hour, and I'm sure people can ask something. Please. We remind our viewers that Kharkiv is in the war zone, that it's just next to the Russian-Ukrainian border, and Vovchansk in the same area is the battleground right now, and I cannot tell how many miles or kilometers. Kharkiv is a big conglomerate.
Yeah, basically Kharkiv is less than 40 kilometers from the Russian border.
30 miles. Anara, please.
I have question. I also admire your job, and I was director of nonprofit 8 years. I know how it is difficult to survive because you are creating something new, pattern that could not be compared, and not all people accept. And that's why you have a lot of obstacles. And also even colleagues sometimes don't understand what you are doing and their discussions. And my impression, being in a nonprofit world, that's extremely important to cooperate with other nonprofits. And my question, do you cooperate with similar organization in Ukraine? Do you know any similar organizations or activities you are doing in Kharkiv? And of course, we learn from each other. We share our good and bad moments. And we learn if one nonprofit is doing great and very successful, you think, oh, I can do it too. So that's why I just wanted to know about environment for nonprofits in Ukraine and your coordination or cooperation or just connections with other nonprofit organizations. Thank you.
So we have connections with organizations both in Ukraine and in Europe and in the United States. But what I have to say is that the work of nonprofit in the United States is different from the work of nonprofit, which is concentrated on military aid here in Kharkiv and the war zone. So we don't have, honestly, we don't have much time for cooperation or coordination. We have funds, we have requests, we try to fulfill those requests. We coordinate and cooperate when it's needed, but it's more on the quick phone call basis, or having Telegram channels for helping each other informationally. Like sometimes I don't know how to proceed with not very ordinary situation with customs clearance or something. But there also, I have to say, there are also state Telegram channels for aid. And here I want to bow to Ukraine that they did a huge amount of work with all this bureaucracy, but they do try to make it easier for people. And it's not the situation when you don't know whom to ask. So in certain questions, we can cooperate or coordinate with this kind of platforms. And those platforms are not just like, a Telegram bot who will answer you with like short, stupid question, but they but they create community. And this is the community with the customs experts and the volunteers. So everyone can ask question and you can get the answer from anyone. And that makes things quick because it's all about saving time. So that's how we do. But also here, I would say that for me to be a co-founder of one Ukrainian charity in Kharkiv and vice president of another Ukrainian charity in Kiev, and those are also connected with other charities. For me, it's more than enough to look for more. And then we have cooperation with several charities in Poland and in UK, and several charities from the United States at least used to help us in the past.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of coordination, communication, but it's very rare. Like under normal conditions, you would have memorandums of agreement and of understanding, and you would like literally work together. But it's not the case. It's very much informal and just calling like, can you help me with that, or can you help me with this? So like at this level, I coordinate or communicate with maybe like 30 plus organizations in Kharkiv. Like,
Wow.
hey, do you have like infusion systems? Hey, do you have power banks? Like this is what we do regularly.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anara, for the questions. We are out of time here, and we thank again Dr. Olga Shpak for joining us from Kharkiv. We will post this recording shortly, and we are just I'm out of words. We wish you all the well from the bottom of our heart, and if you want to say a few words, please do after Dr. Shrey gives a final greeting to our Ukrainian friends, please.
Дорогі браття і сестри в Україні, ми зберігаємо вас у наших щоденних думках і молитвах. Нехай милосердний Бог тримає вас у своїй опіці до наступного тижня. Прощаємося.
Я дуже вдячна. Я дуже вдячна. Вдячна всім українцям в Сполучених Штатах, вдячна всій українській діаспорі, яка дуже багато робить для того, щоб про Україну не забували. І дуже багато допомагає Україні. Величезна вам вдячність. And of course, I very much sincerely thank everyone who remembers about Ukraine. It's not always important to send money and do something, but just to remember and share information and take care of public awareness makes things change at the political level. And for us, it's as important as the funds or monetary aid that comes to our NGOs. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.